Hey everybody, keviseeb here. Today we're going to be looking at an Asashios Bismark division. This is a game that we did recently. And as you can see, matchmaking was pretty kind to us. We had tier 8s as top tier, had a few tier 6s as well. Not the normal 5 or 6 destroyers that you see in the tier 8 and up games. So all in all, matchmaking was good. We had plenty of targets on the enemy team, 5 battleships, no carrier. So for us, that was actually a pretty good setup. Now, when the game started, of course, when you have 2 Asashios on a team, you're going to hear some stuff from your teammates sometimes, including, why are you doing this? It's a meme ship. And maybe it is. Maybe it is a meme ship. I've kind of changed my opinion on it somewhat since I started playing it quite a bit. For me personally, it still happens to be the highest amount of damage destroyer per game that I have. However, I think Unicum, Super Unicum players normally do a lot better than this. But we'll see how this game goes. Because our plan this time, since there are so many islands, and since we obviously were not going to go down the middle on this map, was to do what DDs do, which is to cap the bases. And if a target of opportunity, one of the 5 battleships showed up, to go ahead and torp it. So that was our plan. Unlike what most people think about Asashios, that they're just selfish players who sail around the edge of the map looking to snipe carriers and try and get behind battleships. One thing that has happened is that plenty of battleship players that I play with have learned to avoid Asashios using islands, using terrain, and even though it's a battleship, apparently the WASD keys work on them. So some people actually are driving their ships now to avoid torps from an Asashios. Now, the thing about the Asashios torps, this ship is very similar to the Kagero. However, it does have a little bit longer gun range. Armor is about the same, which is almost non-existent. Kagero has a little bit better AA than the Asashios, but nothing remarkable. The major difference is in the torps. These are the deep water torps that only affect carriers and battleships. So these torps can go right past, right under, right through destroyers and cruisers without causing any harm. Obviously, the detection difference between these torps, which is 0.9 kilometers, versus 1.7 kilometers for the standard torps, is a major difference in overall visibility. They're very hard to dodge, they're very hard to see, and when you see them, typically it's too late. Now, in this case, we just sent out all of our racks of torps, which is 16 for each ship, so there's 32 torps in the water, and I didn't get any hits, and the other Asashios got 1. So just because you have these super torps that travel at 67 knots, it doesn't mean that they're going to hit anything every time you use them. And the other problem is when you're shooting at battleships and you have cruisers and destroyers in front of those battleships, the other ships can spot them. They're no different than any other torp. They're still spotted. Aircraft will spot them, just like any other torp. So this rumor that they're super torps and can't be seen it's not true. They can be spotted. They can be seen. It's just in the case of a battleship that happens to be sailing in open water, you don't see them until 0.9 kilometers away from your ship, which is better than just about any other destroyer. Pan-Asian torps are good, as are Germans. They're better than the Japanese. Not quite as good as this, though. So that is one advantage. Now, as we cap A, we hope our team is going to push with us. That would be, when I say with us, I mean closer to us than what you can see on the mini-map. Our teammate in the Bismarck was pushing around, trying to stay tight to the island, use them for cover. In the meantime, we decided that we needed to get some of the battleships off of our battleship teammate. And this is where the Asasio comes in very handy. The speed of the torps, the low detectability, no other ships to spot them, no aircraft up in the air. You're going to see in just a second here that they do pretty well. They get to where they're going quickly, and they do massive damage. These torps do just over 20,000 damage each. Typically, the Asasio torps, from what I've seen, cause floodings almost every hit. It's rare that you don't get a flooding. And in this case, there went one battleship, and the next one's going to go here in just a second. Again, this was to keep our Bismarck safe. So now he's up against an Aoba, and unfortunately, we didn't realize it, but there was a destroyer, a kid, coming down the center. So when he gets here, when the kid gets here, unfortunately, he's able to send torps out to the Bismarck. Now, both of us Asasios, if you notice, have smoked up. We're both shooting at the Aoba. We do have some teammate support here. And the Kagero guns are similar to the Asasio guns in that they're the same size, etc. The Asasio has a tiny bit more range, but that's all. Otherwise, they're exactly like the Kagero guns. So again, our battleship is starting to cap. The other Asasio and I move in to help with the cap. But look at the positioning of the rest of our team. They've started now to head way outside where they need to. The enemy team is simply following us around, backcapping as we go. So every time, you can tell what's going to happen. Every time we take a cap, they're going to come in behind us and just take it right back again. I take a pot shot at a Kiev. Again, I'm not afraid to use the guns on this ship. They are Japanese guns, so they're not all that powerful, but they're still usable. All right, and unfortunately, the kid did torp our battleship. But one nice thing about being in this division is just because he was dead, he didn't stop helping us report what ships were where and who was coming down the center and who wasn't, who spotted, who wasn't. So just because you lose a division mate doesn't mean that their effectiveness goes away. And again, he was pushing where he should. The rest of our team was not. The other 5 ships were not, and that's probably why I died. Now here comes the kid down the center. Again, the only one shooting at him are the 2 Asasios. So my teammate takes quite a bit of damage, but we do manage to finish him off, or he actually finishes him off. And once that kill is secured, we can go ahead and cap this base. Now, we were asking our team to please prevent capture of the base that we just captured a few seconds ago. So please protect the ACAP. As you can see, that wasn't done. And ACAP falls almost immediately. We're back to having the 1 cap again. The point lead, we're over 200 points behind, or will be shortly. So we decide the best thing we can do is just to try and get as many caps as we can, and it's almost guaranteed our team will keep them from capping B. And that's what we were hoping for. The plan was for the team to keep them from capping B. Because the other Asasio was closer to the center, he was going to go up the middle. I was going to cap D while he went to B. I'm sorry, to C. And we would get the caps back again. And hopefully we could capture both of these caps almost at the same time. So I managed to cap this cap. There's no one around. In the meantime, the Kiev is going into B. Now, we still have 5 ships over there. 3 cruisers, 2 battleships. None of them thought it was a good idea to get close enough to the cap, to use the islands for cover, to do anything that cruisers normally do, and in the meantime keep that highly spotted or highly spottable Kiev to prevent him from capping. And as you can see, none of our plans, none of our pleading worked out. They ended up getting the cap again. So we're still playing ring around the caps. They're still capping behind us. We're getting even further behind now. Now we're 250 points behind with 5 minutes left in the game. Now, we managed to cap C, but there's 2 things that are going to happen. One of 2 things. Either that Kiev is going to come up the middle to get us, or he's going to go around the outside and cap that base that I had just capped. So we kind of figured it was going to be one of the 2. The question is, which one? In the meantime, we sent out our spread of cancer torps, if nothing else, to get them to get away from A so we could get there quicker. Yeah, we did manage to take out another one of their ships, but if you notice, their points are now at 950. We're 350 points down now, and look what shows up in C, the almost full health Kiev. Now, because my teammate was so damaged, we agreed that he would smoke up and shoot out of smoke, and I would stay in the open to attract the Kiev's fire. And between the 2 of us, with me keeping them spotted, between the 2 of us, we hoped we could take the Kiev down. And this is where the guns on the Asashios/Kagero aren't all that bad. The 2 of us were able to take him down with not a great deal of loss of health. And my teammate does the final shot, which takes him out. So that protects the cap. In the meantime, while we were doing that, our battleship/destroyer capper, a Massachusetts, went into B. Several of our ships had been over on the A line. Again, why we don't know, but they were. But he manages to cap B, and then the suggestion to him was to just hide in that middle channel. There's no reason for him to engage anybody. If you'll notice, we're down to 2.5 minutes left in the game. We're still over 200 points down. They're at 951 points now. But the good news is we're able to go back into A and start capping again. Now, if you'll notice, between the 2 Asashios, I captured 4 assists, 1 solo. The other Asashio had 4 assists. So between the 2 of us, that was 7 bases that we captured. Our Massachusetts solo captured another one. So there were a lot of base captures happening between the 3 of us, the Massachusetts and both Asashios. And then originally, remember, our 3rd teammates helped capture 2 bases. So this division did nothing the whole game but captured a ton of bases. And we get down to 18 seconds. We're still behind. But finally, at 10 seconds, we pass them and take the lead. And at the very end of the game, end up winning by just over 20 points. So that's how well a game goes if you play Asashios like destroyers and cap bases and do the best you can to do so. I had 79,000 damage. The other Asashio had a similar amount. And the nice thing is, on this particular game, again, because of all the base captures, Both Asashios finished at the top. Both of us had over 2,000 base points, which in any kind of play is not a bad score to have. So if you cooperate with Asashios, you play them like destroyers, you can win games. And we'll just leave it at that. So I hope you enjoyed it. We'll have more coming later. Thanks for watching.